Lorville. What a shithole. Every time I come back here, it reminds me of my days in the military. They weren't long days. They said I had a problem with authority.
Hey LT, can you believe these orders they gave us? Guard a cargo bay. I mean, fuck the Emperor. They made you a janitor? I mean, fuck the Emperor. Yo bro, fuck the Emperor, right? Guard duty. Fuck the Emperor. Fuck the Emperor. And you can just go fuck the Emperor, Admiral.
Let's just say I didn't have a glowing military career. But I still had some friends there, and when there was a dirty job that needed done, they didn't mind giving me a call. The story, the official story, was a pirate named Julian Bukowski had set up shop in a cave on Aberdeen. That was bullshit. They knew it and I knew it. I don't even know why they bothered feeding it to me. I mean, why the hell would a pirate be holding up in some hot, miserable backwater cave in the ruts of Aberdeen? But even more so, this didn't smell like a bounty hunt. This smelled more like wet work. The brass somewhere wanted somebody assassinated. To be frank, I'd have flipped them off and skipped the job. That is, if the hit had been anywhere else but in a cave. In the caves just outside Cerulean, the scientists had found something that piqued their interest, and for months and months before Cerulean was attacked, they had been directing the engineers to dig deeper and deeper into them. The Stanton star system wasn't that far over from Pyro, only one jump point, and Aberdeen itself was riddled with caves. I figured if I was ever going to find any clues to help me understand why Cerulean had been attacked so viciously all those years ago, probably the place to start would be caves. If something had been brought out of the caves of Cerulean Colony, something that required being underground, well, wouldn't a cave be where to look? And sure, somebody in the upper brass echelons might want this Julian Bukowski dead, but who knew why exactly? Maybe I'd get lucky. Maybe he'd have something, or know something, about what happened down there in the caves outside Cerulean. There were so many caves outside Cerulean that, as a boy, we grew up running them and playing them. It was almost like our backyard. So for me, hunting in caves, well, that was like hunting the cold-adapted deer in the forests of a world like Microtech. You used your cover, you hunted slow and silent, and you don't go running in waving a machine gun like a moron. You keep that for backup. You get yourself a big high-caliber hunting rifle, slap an even bigger scope on it, keep you cool, keep your patience, and stick to the shadows. I came across the first of their people right up near the entrance, and dispatched him without a problem. And a few hundred meters further in, I found their upper supply depot, along with several more of their people. They had armor and big guns, but they didn't handle themselves like operators. Fact was, these guys barely knew what they were doing. Damn helmet HUD isn't amplifying light correctly. And I gave some thought after the first 4 kills to turning around right there. I mean, I didn't know what was going on here, but this wasn't any pirate's lair. There was just something off about the whole thing. Hell, I don't know though. Maybe it was these caves that creeped me out and I just wanted to go. There's something not right about the caves of Aberdeen. You'll see what I mean later on. Back on Earth in the 21st century, there was this book series that became a TV series called The Expanse. And there was a detective in The Expanse, at least in the early seasons. I saw it. You can still find the archives of the old series in the Imperial Library. It's pretty good. And this detective used to always say, watch them doors and corners. Doors and corners. You know, I saw that when I was a kid, and I took it to heart, and I tell you, it saved my life in the military more than once. Saved my life here, too. Doors and corners, kid. Watch the doors and corners. Check to your left, check to your right, check behind you, go around everyone careful. But be sure to use the light as little as possible. You don't want to let anybody know you're there. Doors and corners, though. And right up there, That's why. If I'd gone running helter-skelter around that corner, that'd be me getting shot instead of that guy. Something else you always do. You always make sure there isn't somebody backing up the guy you just took down. And then you make sure there's not somebody backing up him. Go slow, stick to the shadows, and you'll see him. He's right about there. The caves just kept going down and down. And these guys, they were such amateurs, they didn't even know to use light tuned to the frequency of the HUDs in their helmets so that they wouldn't be so visible. They had light everywhere. And you know, when you're hiding or fighting in a dark place, the light isn't your friend. You stand by the light and you feel safe. But you stand by the light and you're just telling the other guy where you are. And just as bad, you're messing with your own night vision. You won't be able to see. These amateurs anyway, they left tracks all through the rock and dust. Everywhere I shone my flashlight, I could see it. I knew I was going to find them further down. Wasn't any doubt. Doors and corners, kid. You come across a corner, you stop and you look. Right up there, that shadow in the mist, that's why. He didn't pay attention to doors and corners. He thought shadows and mist would protect him. And it didn't. One thing I learned in the military is, do your shooting with a sniper rifle if you can, and do your moving with an automatic rifle. No matter how careful you are, sooner or later you're going to turn a corner and there's going to be somebody there that you didn't hear or expect. And in that moment, combat's going to be fast, up close, and personal. And that's when you're going to want an automatic rifle. But for right now, what I have to do here is jump these rocks. And that's tricky, because the gravity on moons is tricky. Some a little more, some a little less. It takes some getting used to figure just how far a jump is going to take you. But with a little work, you can jump just about anything. You just make a few practice ones, get used to it. And if you do happen to fall down, well, you're not likely to get all that hurt in the moon's low gravity. Just put away your weapon, no matter how unnatural it feels not to be armed in a place like this. Find those ledges just up out of reach, and jump till you can grab them and pull yourself back up. Been there before in my days, messing around as a teen in the caves outside of Cerulean. And it's usually enough to get back out. And no matter what, always keep your eyes peeled. What you're looking for in the caves is a darker shadow among the shadows. Best if you can take them out at a distance before they see you or hear you, like I'm about to do with this guy and his compadre. And as the pilots say, always keep your head on a swivel, because you never know when the next guy is coming. And by the way, if you think you put him down, make sure you double check so this doesn't happen. Or if it does, just be ready. And when you think you have them all down, go slow. Take your time. Down in a place like these caves, you got no backup to patch you up if you're down here solo. Gotta always keep it first in mind. Do everything right the first time, because around the next door and corner, you might find another surprise. Like this sneaky bastard. It's also a good idea to not only keep your gun loaded, but be sure that you rotate fresh clips out of your backpack. Because ranged shots is not exactly what an FS9 assault rifle is built for, but I guess if you hold the trigger long enough it gets the job done. Not a bad assault rifle though, pricey, but holds 120 rounds per drum mag, and has a 40-meter range. That's pretty good for what we're up to here. I'm not sure if there's somebody back there still, but I'll just send a few extra rounds out there to make sure. Because we're getting pretty close to our mark, Julian, and I want to make sure he doesn't have any surprises up his sleeve. I don't think he even knew I'd taken out nearly all of his people when I found his hideout in a little side cave. It was pretty damn well hidden. It took me a few minutes to find it. The cave rock kept them from being able to talk with their people on radio though, but still they were getting on edge. I figure some folks were supposed to have checked back in with them, and they hadn't. So by the time I got to the room where they were hiding out, the guards were running around like hornets buzzing in a hive. But doors and corners, kid. Keep to the shadows, and always, always think like a hunter. Use a rifle where you can, long range. Double tap if you can, and never let them know where you're coming from. Still, I felt dirty taking out these guys. What a bunch of amateurs. Why the hell did somebody in the upper brass decide to call in wet work on these guys? Shit. And it was only just then I figured it out. These guys weren't pirates. They were just some stupid claim jumpers trying to get a little ore out of this rock before Big Mr. Corporation came back. I'd have turned right then and left if I could. I really felt bad, but Julian was scared, running around with an itchy trigger finger, and there was no way I was putting my back to him, and no way he was going to believe me if I told him I was going to turn and let him go. But that light he just flashed up in this entrance here, it makes me certain he knows where I am, or at least the direction I'm coming from. And the light flash in the opposite direction tells me he's looking for cover. There was nothing to do but almost empty my clip on him, but whatever cover he was looking for, he must have found it. Didn't make any difference. It was a bad situation. If I turned and left, which I really wanted to do, I wasn't going to get out of that cave alive. He'd come after me, and who could blame him? But the poor idiot had no idea what he was doing. It was only a matter of time, because amateurs, they don't know to watch doors and corners, do they? And in the end, that's what got him. Shit, it was time to go. Screw looting, screw victory. This wasn't even wet work, it was just assassination. I said earlier, the caves of Aberdeen always freaked me out. I went out the way I came in. I figured I knew where any booby traps were at this point, so it was the safest way. But where were the bodies? I left 3 stiffs in here, and they weren't there. And it's not the first time I've seen this in the caves of Aberdeen. You leave a body alone very long, soon it's not there. Maybe it's some sort of cave scavenger. But in the pubs of Everest Harbor, where the Aberdeen miners like to go for a little R&R, I've heard the miners say from time to time, some dark nights, like this dark night, they might see the dead walking, miners who died in those caves, and then also disappeared. I think I'd rather just think about the stars. Think about the stars and get off this rock. Aberdeen, hot as hell, with its weird heat-loving trees that love to grow in a land hot enough to burn the flesh right off your bones. There's nothing about this rock for a man to like, and no clues here to be had. Only memories of wet work I wish I hadn't done, and that lingering question, where did the bodies go? And it was only when that rock was far below that it suddenly dawned on me. The missing bodies. Maybe that was the clue I was looking for. The dead don't walk. So just where did they go?